There are so many good ideas in your head that you are not putting out into the world and not building something out of because you don't know the things that I'm about to tell you in this video. Now, how long are you going to wait until you finally take action on that business, that project, or that idea that you know in your heart of hearts could genuinely change the world? Now, procrastination has been written on the tombstone of so many ideas that never ended up seeing the light of day. Today, I'm going to teach you 3 concepts that go together to help you launch and actually put something into the world that will change it. Whether or not this is a business, an idea, a project, a passion, anything that you have, you need to understand these 3 concepts in order to start taking flight. Now, the first concept that I want to talk to you about is the MVP. And this isn't talking about the most valuable player here, guys. This is talking about the minimum viable product. So many people try and launch the best version of what they're gonna put out. Let's say they wanna write a book, let's say they wanna start a business. They go into it trying to make it absolutely perfect. But the reality is that the first time you launch something, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to suck. And that's okay. You need to accept that it's going to not be the best, and that's okay. Because the people that can't accept that the first time they do something, they're not going to be good at it, those are the people who never do anything at all. Anybody who ever did something great understood that they need to put in the reps in order for the good product at the end to actually see the light of day. So let's talk about the minimum viable product. The idea here is that you can launch something that's just the minimum thing that you could be giving to people. If it's a project or if it's a business, you don't need to have all the bells and whistles right out of the gate the day you launch. You can launch something that's just minimum viable, is just enough that people can get their heads around it. They can maybe purchase a component of it or sign up free for a component of it. And it's enough for you to get feedback and get a feeler of where you should be going and what direction you should be taking things. Now, the purpose of the MVP is to overcome this idea of paralysis. Paralysis, when you cannot move, generally comes from this desire of perfection. Like I mentioned earlier, there actually is something called perfection is paralysis, or paralysis by analysis. There's so many options and so many opportunities for you to get things right that you're so scared about getting things wrong, you don't even launch. And while of course this applies to businesses and books and projects and whatever it is you want to put out into the world, this also works with giving a speech or asking that girl out or asking for a raise. You never end up doing it because you're not able to accept good enough. And now, while the conclusion should never be good enough, the first few steps, the things that get you out in the field, they have to be good enough. Because if you don't acknowledge that you're a beginner and you're just starting out, you will never even be that. You'll never be a beginner and you'll never actually even start out. And this leads me to the second concept. The second concept is to launch ugly. Now, this is very similar to the MVP. It's just the idea that you don't need every single bell and whistle. It's okay for things to be ugly. If it kind of works and it's a little bit janky, that's all you need, at least to start. The people that really care, the people that are interested, will give you the feedback that you require to make things better. And that's actually a really important point that I want to touch on right now. Most of what you think is going to be perfect or going to be super pretty and aesthetic, the reality is that you're wrong. You're only going to get there by the feedback and the criticism of your lovers and your haters. So accept that that first MVP that you launch will launch ugly. Give yourself the permission to not have the prettiest, most perfect product when you launch. Launch it ugly. Now, the third and final concept that plays on the other two, both the MVP and launching ugly, is to get it wrong the first time. If you are so obsessed with getting it perfectly right the first time, you will never put it out into the world, like I keep saying. So you need to actually go out and understand that the goal is to get it wrong the first time. The goal is to get in the field and get the kind of experience and feedback that you can then bring back to the second and third and fourth iteration that will then make the perfect, aesthetic, correct product. And again, I want to bring this back to what I was saying earlier. This doesn't just apply to products, guys. This applies to speeches and books, businesses in general, any idea that you have. It's okay to get it wrong the first time as long as you take that information and you build it into the next time. Because success is great, but nothing teaches like failure. Okay, guys, so that's basically everything for today. Whether you're building a business, launching a project, a book, anything that I've said in this video, I want you guys to remember these 3 concepts to allow you to just take action and get the feedback and experience that you need to actually have things work and succeed in the end. The first major one was the MVP, the minimum viable product. Just get something out there that's good enough. The next one was to launch ugly. Recognize that you're not going to be able to put all the bells and whistles on it because you need the experience and feedback to understand what bells and whistles even appeal to your potential customer or your adopter. And the third thing is to allow yourself to get it wrong the first time. Go out there and get rejected, because it's from rejection that you will learn the lessons that will get you accepted. Could be a social situation, could be a project, could be a business. I keep mentioning these things over and over and over because science tells us that we need to be reminded so much more than we need to be taught. taught. And I know you already know this stuff, and that's why I'm trying to remind you over and over and over. So guys, I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Spencer with Must Become. Always remember that your potential is your obligation, and so what you can become, you must become.